Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to VTV. I knew you'd like that. I'm surprising you with this. The Vosganians are on Look TV all week. Yesterday, I interviewed his son, Mateo, who's in this absolutely killer band, Wild Adriatic. And I don't know when we're airing that interview, but whenever we're airing it, you'll know what I mean when you watch it. And this is his father. This is Chuck Vosganian, who, as you know by now, is a frequent guest here, is the founder and the president of the Rochmon Record Club. And we've got a new exploration of a album that changed culture coming up, right?
Great record.
I know. Which one?
Eagles, Hotel California.
Oh, God.
Yeah, great album.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Now, having been to every Rochmon so far,
yes,
and even including the first one, where I think the only person that wandered in was that drunk that was wandering around the sidewalk. And now you can hardly get in, so make plans for next Tuesday.
Be there
the
at
place
6:30.
is packed.
Yeah,
Exactly. Without a doubt. You've done some amazing explorations, and in your own inimitable fashion, are so engaging when you talk about just the nuance of how the records were made and who played on the records, and just this wonderful stuff that allows some people, like a lot of us, to relive the albums, but also sheds new light on them. Yeah. So why Hotel California?
Well, just for me, Jesse, it was it's an iconic album for me. And one of the things that I love about Hotel California is that it's the first album that the Eagles did with Joe Walsh.
Yes,
and Joe Walsh is one of those guys out of Ohio, Midwest boy, had the James Gang, great songs, Funk 49, Walk Away, really a great player, three-piece band, which is one of the things that we talked about that before, close to my heart. And then he went to Barnstorm and did some more great music, and then he has a great solo career. Just an amazing guitar player, and one of those guys that we talk about the tasty bits. He's the guy that he'll sing a phrase and then play four notes on the guitar that you can't have the song without those four notes.
And he seems to own that riff. It's like Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. Yeah. You hear Keith and you know it. You hear Walsh, and you know where you are.
Exactly.
Plus, in the typical sort of sense of humor that Joe Walsh has, my Maserati does 185. I lost my license, and now I can't drive.
Got a limo, ride in the back, lock the doors in case I'm attacked. I mean, come on.
Now, you know what? On the surface, people would say, well, that's a really strange. Here you are talking about, at the time, which was really called the Southern California sound.
Yeah.
It was Ronstadt, it might have been Jackson Browne, it was the Eagles, and members moving in and out and supporting each other, musicians playing on with James Taylor when he went on tour, Jackson, and then Linda Ronstadt.
Exactly.
Here comes Joe Walsh, dragging the crazy guy.
Yeah.
But yet it fit.
The harder edge. Well, he brought, what Walsh did for the band is he brought his own, Glenn Frey wanted to get a harder edge on the band. And he wanted Walsh. Walsh was already in the family. He was managed by the same manager. He used the same record producer. And he had already played in concert with them a few times. He had opened for them a few times, and he also played a couple of times with the band. So he was already in the family. He was the black sheep of the family, but he was already in the family. Yeah, and he's a wild man. He's the guy that ruins, crashes hotel rooms and throws TVs out windows. He's that guy. And what Walsh did, though, was he took Don Felder, who was the lead guitar player of the band, and really gave Felder permission to just completely open up. And Felder is a great guitar player.
Well, anybody that knows the Eagles knows, of course, you hear Glenn Frey, you hear Don Henley, that name, of course, and you hear all the members. But Felder was a kind of unsung hero in that band in a way.
Absolutely.
Amazingly talented, and if you want to know the kind of talent, it's Felder that jumps on the harmony part in this amazing guitar solo in Hotel California.
Yes.
Now, very typical of the Eagles also, what did it take, about 6 days worth of edits to get the perfect take?
Yeah, to get the perfect take, and they edited it and they worked it out, and the solo that they were playing, they started to stretch a little bit off of the original demo. Felder wrote the original musical demo of the song, and they started to stretch over it, and Henley goes, no, play what was on the demo. And this was what Felder had already. So they stretched it, but they stretched it at the confines of what Felder had already conceived of. And this is one of the things. This is where the genius comes from, knowing what the song is. The band didn't want to release it as a single. Henley said, "No, we're going to release this as a single. A 1-minute intro, a 2.5-minute solo at the end." I mean, it was not a hit single at the time, but it was a hit single.
Well, back in those days, as his shirt can tell, this is the filler hub that went in a 45 RPM record.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, we're dating ourselves here, Chuck.
Oh, man, are we ever?
But that was unheard of. It was 2 minutes, in and out, see you later.
Yeah.
And here, Henley, who was not the easiest person to get along with, by the way, demanded that they release it as a single and demand that the intro and the outro remain the same. Now, as you move through Hotel California, my God, I don't even know where to start. If it's Victim of Love, if it's Life in the Fast Lane.
Yeah.
But I also want to touch on something that the Eagles really did very well, and it was almost tongue-in-cheek. They've got a song in there called New Kid in Town. Very similar to what they did with a song like maybe Best of My Love, which is that they're sophomoric, they have this really accessible pop sensibility about it. It was calculated.
Yeah, and it was dark. I mean, it was about I'm the gunslinger, in that Eagles sort of cowboy fashion. It's sort of almost a callback to the way they used to do things. They were writing about being the gunslinger, the top gunslinger in town, and this new kid rides into town and says, "I'm faster than you are, old man."
That's right.
And he's got to prove it. That everyone's taking shots at you, and they were the guitar slingers. They had to fight to stay on top. And one of the things that Henley said that I thought was really, really interesting, he said that being in the Eagles was a tremendous amount of pressure because he knew when they released an album, the record company would make their quarter. There were a lot of people relying on the Eagles to produce hit records, and I don't think they were that calculated about it. They you get the feeling in the album, especially when you listen to the thread of the album, the concept of the record, they're actually railing against that. They're saying this is really not the way we want to live in this creative environment. We want to just be creative and just open up. And it's just a great record. It's just a fun record, and there's lots of great stories about the album cover. And I have some hidden bits in there that many people aren't aware of.
You refer to those as the tasty bits.
No, the tasty bits are the oral bits. These are visual bits that you might not be aware of. So
All
it's
right,
very cool.
Make plans now. Next Tuesday, which is the 19th, Cafe Lena. Get there early. Get there at 6:30. These things sell out now, which is really quite a remarkable achievement on your part.
Thank you very much.
And you will learn stuff about these albums and get up and dance and jump around. You will not believe how this goes. Well, Chuck, great to see you.
Thank you,
and
Jesse.
We have a rule. You come in a week before every single one of these, and you and I get to talk.
Absolutely.
Good to see you,
and
pal.
I get to email you a couple days before to remind you, too, about
that's a whole other problem. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Jesse.
See this interview again. You can head to our website, looktvonline.com.